Hey everybody, today I'll be taking a look at a pair of budget-priced longswords. Both of these swords are under 300 bucks, and we can argue about what a budget price actually entails. But generally speaking, I think most people consider under $300 for a functional longsword to be in the budget price range. So comparing two swords today, the Cold Steel, so-called Italian longsword, MAA Italian longsword, should be specific, and the Ronin Katana, so-called medieval longsword number 7 with leather grip. So from a specs standpoint, the MAA Italian longsword by Cold Steel, we have a weight of 49 ounces, blade length of 35.5 inches, an overall length of 47 inches, and a blade steel of 1090 carbon. For the Ronin Katana, actually very similar specs. We have a weight of 3 pounds, 7 ounces, so a little heavier than the Cold Steel, a total length of 47 inches, a blade length of 36 inches, and this one is made of tempered 1075 spring steel. Both swords come with a leather blade holder, and the reason why I'm saying blade holder is because the Cold Steel, the Ronin Katana, is leather wrapped wood core scabbard. It's got metal fittings on it. The Cold Steel is kind of typical of Cold Steel. It's almost what I would describe more as a sheath than a true scabbard. It's leather with metal fittings, and then is lined with these two little plastic liners that go in. And as you can see, these are not in the scabbard sheath anymore. These are out because on take 1 of this video, these just popped out. So they're out here now. So I guess I'm not using them anymore. So let's go ahead and kind of dig into the Cold Steel a little bit since we're kind of talking about it already. We have alloy fittings, a blued blade, blued guard, blued pommel. We have a leather wrapped grip that's got this kind of shiny leather. It's not fit particularly well around the pommel. It's kind of flaked up and rolled up here, and it doesn't move too much on me. It's not wanting to warp too much, but I can feel a bit of a gap. The pommel is secured here with a flathead screw. Next up on the Ronin Katana, we've got a nice polished blade. Both of them have a diamond cross section. Very basic guard here. Also leather wrapped grip. The biggest issue that I have with all of Ronin's grips, they're all this way, at least on their Europeans, is this leather wrap wood handle. This little stitching is a little bit rough, and it's pretty basic. It also has some little rough fitment around here, not nearly as noticeable as on the Cold Steel. The machining is also a little bit rough on the pommel. It's a little uneven, and the pommel is peened on. Also comes with a scabbard. It is a wood core leather wrap scabbard, like I said earlier, with metal fittings and a nice little belt buckle for you. Now, as far as cutting performance goes, cutting edge on this Cold Steel looks to be about right here, and point of balance is about right here. Yep. The edge that this came with, I mentioned diamond cross section earlier, it had a pretty steep secondary bevel. So the edge that's on here now is my edge. I use a work sharp, and I get something like a teardrop, appleseed edge that sort of mimics a continuous edge, continuous grind to the best of my ability. And I mentioned the blued finish earlier, the blade and the fittings are blued. They say that that's typical of the Master at Arms series. They say that that's to save money in blade polishing. They've got a nice feathered finish, another diamond cross section here, but this one has a continuous grind all the way to the edge, and this edge is factory. I've not touched this one up at all. Overall, a lot higher level of attention to detail on the Ronin Katana over the cold steel, and we're talking probably, depending on when you buy it, where you buy it, anywhere from about a $40 to $80 price difference between the two, with the Ronin Katana being a little bit more expensive. As far as cutting performance goes, the one thing that I noticed right off is the cold steel feels pretty light and handy, but the trade-off is I was never able to really get good cuts with this sword. In fact, just getting any cuts at all at times was a challenge, even after I sharpened it. But I will say that, to be fair to cold steel, their own literature on this describes this as a thrust-centric sword, but they also do say that it's capable of something like powerful or death or earth-shattering cuts, or whatever marketing term that cold steel likes to use when describing their cuts. I did not find that to be the case at all. Cuts were actually quite difficult to pull off with this. At the very least, clean cuts were. Now, in contrast, the Ronin Katana, with that thicker, heavier blade and nowhere near as much whip, had no problems producing cuts at all. And again, we're talking factory edge. I have not touched it up. I was getting just really excellent cuts all the way down with this sword. And I'm sure that that's between the continuous grind and just having that extra thickness. So the trade-off for this sword in cutting performance is a little bit of that weight and price difference, but you're also picking up considerable more quality. So between the two, if you're looking at getting a medieval longsword for the first time, between these two, I would definitely recommend the Ronin Katana over the cold steel, even if it means having to save up the extra $40 to $80. I bought mine, I think, for around $240, and whenever I checked the price just before I started this video, they were about around $280. But a lot of times they have holiday sales around Black Friday time period and holiday time period. They'll knock some money off of these their swords on Ronin Katana's site. I was seeing the cold steel, I think, for around $208, and that varies again depending on the retailer. So I really do think it's worth putting the extra couple of $10 back to get the Ronin Katana if you're having to choose between the two. And I don't know why you would only have to be choosing between the two. I just happen to have these two swords to compare to, so that's why I'm making the video. Now, overall, also, I would not recommend the MAA Italian longsword at all. Maybe if you're looking for a thrusting longsword, but to me, I don't do any backyard thrusting. It's all backyard cutting. So I'm not really sure what the practical application of this sword is based on the cutting performance that I was able to get. Sample size of one, maybe my tempering's different than what some of the others are. Maybe you have one that cuts really well. I don't know. This one example just did not cut well. And again, we're talking about some other questionable quality issues right out of the box from this sword. So yeah, I think the number 7 longsword from Ronin Katana is pretty much good to go. At least I've cut hundreds of bottles with it at this point and dozens of pool noodles, and it's functioned well. And I've just not had any issues with it. I even believe with this one I had an incident where I bumped the grill, the grill frame, and didn't really have much of any edge damage at all with it. So, and nothing is loosened up yet, so we'll see how it holds up over time. This is Jay. I hope you liked the video. Please click like if you did. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you again next time.